Hello, mate. You need advice on the latest stuff in film and editing?
Yeah, I'm really struggling with the work we're doing. Who did what, who these guys were, and what they did. Could you help me, please?
Fine, we all need help. The best place to start is with the first ever photograph.
That sounds good.
Firstly, the first photograph was taken by Nice for Nisps with the view from the Atlas Grass.
So, why was this important?
Well, it was the first ever photograph. This is one of the reasons we are at technology which we're at today. Even though it's a very dull picture, back when this was seen as a huge breakthrough, obviously people saw this and were amazed that this could even happen. It was a stepping stone in the right direction.
Oh, right. Well, that's good to know.
Okay, well, next thing I'm going to help you with is the magic lantern. This was used to portray an image at the end of the lantern. It used a concave mirror in the back of a light source to direct as much light as possible through a small rectangular sheet of glass, on which painted a photographic image to be portrayed.
Alright, so this was used as kind of entertainment device, really?
Yeah, basically, this was a source of entertainment for people in the 18th century. Right, the next thing you need to know is about the toilet trope. This is a toy that was very popular in the Victorian times, so you know how it was for entertainment straight away. John Iton Paris takes most of the credit for the idea. Basically, it is a disc or card that is in the middle, with a picture on both sides, and a string attached to both sides that if you twirled it quickly, you'd see two pictures combine into one as it is moving so quickly.
Oh, right, so this is mainly just for entertainment again?
Yeah, bit boring, but there you go. Back then it was different. Lastly, you need to know about the zoetrope. It's a device that produces the illusion of motion from a rapid succession of static pictures. As the cylinder spins, the user looks through the gaps and the picture will appear looking like it's moving because it's going so quick.
Okay, who made this?
This was made by William Horner, I believe. Right now, the next guy I tell you about, it plays a huge importance in film.
Who is he?
Edward Muybridge. He is known for proving doubters wrong. Basically, he wanted to prove to people that at some stage all horses' feet are off the ground for a split second as they run. People thought this was impossible, but he wanted to prove them wrong. How he did this was he set up a series of cameras, because obviously back then there was no chance photographs could be taken that quick, so he did it by reaction. When the first camera was triggered, that meant all the cameras then all take photos really quickly, then allowed Muybridge to display photos that were taken and prove to everyone that, in fact, for a split second, all horses' feet were off the ground.
But why was this so important?
Well, it's not the fact that it's about the horses, but it was clever thinking. To take photographs that quickly in the method he did it was unique. This showed people a new technique when it came to photography. No one had ever seen anything like it.
Oh, right, okay, that's interesting.
Now, the next thing you need to know is about the Lumiere brothers. These guys were the first guys to ever shoot a film. It was filmed on the 28th of December 1895. Their first film showed workers leaving a factory, which is pretty boring, but it showed people at that time what you can do. It amazed people that things could be recorded and watched back over, as it's vital today as people look to this as an example and take inspiration from this piece of work into theirs.
So you think people take inspiration from this into their own work?
Yeah, I think so, as it's the first film. Without it, we wouldn't be where we are today. Anyway, there are two films you need to know about. One is called A Trip to the Moon by George Méliès and A Birth of a Nation. Firstly, A Trip to the Moon is very well known because it was one of the first proper films, and this was filmed with no creativity and you can actually put into a film. It is one of the first films which showed a story, a plot. For example, them travelling to the moon. This showed how films could be filmed with thought creativity. Obviously, this was like one of the pioneers to films for creating a story within a film that you could follow and also requiring a lot of thought. The Birth of a Nation is always very important as it pioneered camera techniques such as the iris effects, still shots, night photography, pan and camera shots, and carefully staged battles, which are made to look like thousands with extras.
Blimey, these sound like they're hugely important from what you've told me.
Well, yeah, you take the creativity from The Birth of a Nation, the storytelling to it, which told people what you can do within the side of things. Then you look at how Birth of a Nation is, all the camera techniques, you take that into film today. Without this, imagine what it would be like. We take great inspiration from this, and we take all these techniques into film today. It was the first feature-length film. Do you get it?
Yeah, I see.
The next film I'm going to tell you about is the Les Khrushchev experiment. The Lev Kuleshov experiment was basically when he used 6 images in succession after the other, but how he did this was unique. It was all about how the audience and how they perceive it. For example, you see a picture of a rather strange looking man and we can see our own opinions of what he's thinking. So the first image is a bowl of soup, then the second is him. From seeing the bowl of soup, we can come to an idea that what he's thinking. For example, him being hungry and that he is going to eat the soup. Then the third image is a dead girl in a coffin. Then back to the man, straight away the audience gets a different image and perceives as him maybe killing the girl or a young relative of his dying. The fifth image is a woman lie down on a sofa with not many clothes and as you can see, in a glamorous and appealing way. It then cuts back to the same man and now we think of something completely different. Of lust. This is a useful technique of cutting as we can apply thought straight into the audience's head with a simple cut of an image or clip.
Alright, okay.
The next important thing I need to tell you about in the cutting is by Sergei Eisenstein and what he was known for. The Soviet montage. His style of editing is unique. The way he edited, he made something that was impossible, which he couldn't possibly do, look real. Like for example, when a grenade is thrown, there's no way you can throw a normal frag grenade at the cast actors because it would be insane. But he edited it where it made it look like that happened. So you see the grenade get thrown, then there's maybe going to be a close-up or something, then a cutaway, you hear the explosion. You can make this look possible with the correct editing, and this is what he did.
Alright, a lot of films use that now. Without it, it would look boring.
There's also the shower scene from Psycho. Hitchcock explains that using montage can create new ideas for the audience. Like if he was to take away the scene of him looking at the woman without a child, he comes across as a humble gentleman. But if you replace that with a girl in a bikini, he becomes a stereotypical dirty old man. That's using different clip can create so many ideas into the audience's head. Now, if you watch the famous scene of Psycho and attacking the woman in the shower, you clearly see that he attacks a woman with a knife, but you don't see the knife go in. That's the idea of montage, making something look impossible. There is also many cuts that Hitchcock leaves you to be the protagonist in this film. This encourages the audience. Because there's so many cuts, this is made to look real, and we perceive it to be real.
I'm getting a much clearer understanding of cutting and editing now.
So if you go back to how we did our own version of Something Impossible, you can see me and the character in a brawl. I push him down to the floor, and it looks like I'm kicking him. But the last scene, I kick his head, but before you see me fully hit him, it cuts just before, and that's when the effect of sound is used to create the image.
You want me? Get on the floor!
Yeah, I remember that.
Next thing we need to go over is shot types. So for example, we have a point of view. A point of view shot would be used to show the view from someone's perspective. You would use this to see from the character would be seeing feel more involved in the story. You have a high angle shot. This will be used to make characters seem weak or vulnerable. You then have a ground shot. This is a common example for horror films, like when character dies or you see the feet of the criminal moving so we don't see the identity of the character. Bird's eye view. This can give an overall view of the surroundings of the current situation and area. Low angle shots make a character seem more dominant or overpowering, so we would use this for example when say someone is winning an argument or is very angry. This is the establishing shot, which effectively sets the scene, tells us where we are and where we're going to be next. The eye level shot, so it was you would see if you were talking to that character. The extreme long shot, this can add context to a scene. The worm's eye view, this could be used to emphasise something, to make an object or person look powerful. A mid shot, which will show the subject of interest in more detail. A medium close-up, which shows the character from chest up. It can show a character's emotion, how they're currently feeling. The two shot, this is just a shot with two people, which show the two people in the scene. This would be really effective to capture the duo together to emphasise their cooperation together. The wide shot, which can show numerous numbers of characters, shows what's happening and shows part of the current environment. Probably one of the most important shots is the over-shoulder shot. Showed the conversation to see from one person's shoulder to another, to see what they say and how they say it. Extreme close-up, this is good for showing extra emotion to the character. So for example, fear in the eyes, or crying, and lastly the close-up. To show what someone is doing and their emotion at that current time, which can connect with the audience.
That's a lot of information to take in. I think I'm there.
The next form of editing I will talk about is jump cuts. The first use of jump cuts was used in the film Breathless. This film was directed by Jean-Luc Godard. He uses jump cuts as is a woman in a car, and then it cuts to the same position of the same woman at another stage. Jump cuts were unusual because nobody had seen it before, and people also found it boring. You can hide a jump cut by putting in another clip to make it more entertaining by using cutaways.
I like doors. I like small people. It's all about the dancing. I like doors. I like blue doors. I like small people. I like really small people. It's all about the dancing. I like Peter Crouch's dancing.
Surely that's boring. But with the clips hidden with other clips, it would look pretty normal.
Next thing I need to talk to you about is match cutting. This is when we see something happening and then something else happens but is a different object and it is a graphic match, often to establish a strong continuity. In class we spoke about the space film match cut, the 30 steps with the woman screaming, and then the next cut is a train, a similar noise which graphically matches the previous composition. And the next match cut with the avalanche and the blonde afro wig. I personally find this the best match cut as there is also a good transition. It's very slick and also has no relevance but somehow cuts in to make it work.
Yeah, I agree.
Now it's transition. Transitions are what we use which give an effect from one scene going to another scene. So for example, a straight cut. A straight cut is where there is no effect, it just cuts. Then there's straight to another clip or another one starts. A dissolve is where it slowly fades and cuts into a new clip. This could be used for a sound effect maybe.
Yeah, I've done that in my Premiere.
There's also timing and pace you need to know about. You obviously need to show the audience what current situation you're in, what the mood is, and portraying this is important. For example, the James Bond, the introduction of Quantum of Solace, the intro is very fast paced, with the music setting the tone. There is also very fast cuts to suggest that it's action packed, a lot is going on. All sorts of shots are being used with extreme long shot to close up of the car to show how frantic it really is. I also need to talk to you about cutting to the beat. Cutting to the beat is basically where you see on the screen matches with the music being played. Say for example, a song with a key change. As soon as that key change kicks in, something right at that moment, right, really happy might happen. Another example, there's a song with a lot of high beat. There may be something fast-paced happening on the screen. This is very good to use as I find it makes things look a lot more better and professional, and people can understand what is happening more as well. This can create suspense, anticipation and excitement.
Yeah, I find that as well. I've been doing that in some of my adverts.
Now I need to talk to you about continuity editing. Firstly, the shot reverse shot is a film technique where one character is shown looking at another character, and then the other character is shown looking back at the first character. Since the characters are shown facing the opposite directions, the viewer assumes that they are looking at each other. The 180-degree rule is basic guideline regarding screen relationship between a character and another character. All the filming is on one side of the room as the audience doesn't get confused. With the positioning of the actors, the camera has to pan and move across the other side while filming so the audience is aware of this. Continuity editing is where you show something happening but over a period of time. So for example, waiting for somebody with a long shot of yourself and then cutting into a close-up of your watch. Time progresses and the same thing occurs again. A continuity error is where you could see something 1 second and then when it comes back to it in the next cut scene it could be disappeared or it would be the same as it last would. This could interrupt seamless editing as you could record on a different day due to reasons being that your actor may be ill or not available, so they need someone similar. but this could interrupt as the clips would be filmed on a different day and would be hard to change.
Okay, that would be useful for me. Tell me more.
Okay, so now you need to know about parallel editing. Parallel editing is where you're showing two things happen on screen, but both at the same time while it's happening. So we looked at an example of The Godfather where Michael's nephew is being baptised and they're saying all these things like getting rid of the devil, but while this is happening it shows around 5 people getting assassinated. This is parallel editing, showing something happening at the same time as another clip. I think the director uses these two scenes because it also using the use of binary opposites. They're trying to show us on the screen all these things to do with God to Michael, but on the other hand they don't know he's one of the members of the mafia to kill specific targets.
So now I know this, I can use this in my editing.
The final thing you need to know about is multiple perspectives. So for example, you could tell the same story from different points of view. You could do this by using different shots, the type of music you use as whatever we hear to put ourselves in the mind of what is dependent on what the music is. The film 500 Days of Summer used split screen to show how it's expected and in reality what it is. So for the expected point of view, there's one with a slower tempo, the body language, the actors suggest romance and the shots being used such as a slow zoom long shot of the two together which suggests they're in an item. Whereas on the reality point of view, the woman looks a lot more confused and more normal. The shots are different, one being there are no shots of them in the same frame, as this may suggest they are not a couple and may be far from it.
Disposable building when you can make something that lasts forever, like a greeting card.